Welcome to Dalton Gang Off Grid. So today I am going to be cooking some rabbit and then I'm going to show you how to can it. Alright, so basically what I've done is I saved the juices from when I did the canning of like the green beans and the zucchini and squash last week. I saved the broth and I used all of it. I'm going to boil this rabbit in that broth. So there's a few pieces of green beans and zucchini, but that's alright. And then I just got some banana peppers and some onion from the garden. I'm going to throw it in there. Gonna throw some salt. A little bit of pepper. Okay. Stir it up. And basically I'm going to let it cook here in this pressure cooker. I'm using the pressure cooker because I'm kind of in a hurry. We got a lot going on. Otherwise, I would just kind of let it roast all day long in a crock pot, but we just don't have time right now. So, got it going. Singe it down. I'm going to bring it up to pressure. Once it's up to pressure and you see the steam, then you go ahead and you let it cook for about 5 minutes and it should be ready. And so at that point I will take the rabbit out. I will shred it up because I like to use it for like anything that you use like shredded chicken for, tacos, burritos, whatever. I always when I cook the rabbit, I always cook it that way just because it's simple. Anyway, so I'm gonna let it sit, gonna let it cook, and then we will be back when it's ready. Alright, so my little deal has popped up and I'm actually going to let it set for 10 minutes because I've got 2 rabbits in here and they're pretty big pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and let it set for 10 minutes and then I will just turn the heat off and then wait for the pressure to come back down and then we will cook out our rabbit. Alright, okay, so now I have sterilized all of my jars, I've sterilized all the lids, all the utensils, and now I'm going to put my hot rabbit in these jars. And you want to make sure it's still hot because if it's cold, you might break your jars. I need a different spoon. The same way? No. So you fill it up to about right here. and then you wipe it clean. And we've got these cool little magnet things to pick up the lids. Set them on. Twist it shut. And then move on to the next one. And then just do all your jars the same way. And this is just really nice because when you had a long day and you need to cook something really quick, then you've already got this meat pretty much cooked. Alright, I ended up getting 6 quarts, and some of them have more rabbit than others, but that's okay because then I at least have some kind of broth for soups. And you just process them the same as if it was just regular rabbit. And now we're going to pressure cook them. Alright, so a little trick that I learned is if you put a little bit of vinegar in with your water, then it doesn't leave that cloudy film on your jars. And I don't have vinegar right now, so I'm just using kombucha. And let's see. So you fill your canner up about 2 inches with water, and you want to it should be warm water, but you don't want it to be boiling, because you kind of want the temperature to equally grow with the jars. Otherwise you have the whole heat imbalance and jars tend to burst, and you don't want that. Let's see here. One more. Alright, so I went ahead and filled up 1 extra jar. So I have a total of 7 quarts. And you put your lid on. Lock it into place. Okay, so now all we got to do is wait for the pressure to build, and then once it starts steaming, we will put our 15 pounds on the top. And then for pint jars, you do it for 75 minutes, and then for quart size jars, you do it for 90. So right now we're going to just wait for the pressure to build up, and we'll be back. Okay, so it's now dark. I had to get our Milwaukee spotlight out here so I can see, but up here you can see that the pressure has been released, and so it is time to put our weights on there. Now when that gets to jingling, that means it is up to pressure. I've got 15 pounds of pressure on there. And then once that starts going, then I'm going to start my timer for 90 minutes, and then we'll be able to shut off the heat. So now it's just more waiting. Alright, so it got really late last night, got dark, and it was just really hard to record it and with all the lights and stuff, so I went ahead and just finished it off. I'm going to just kind of do a quick recap of how, like just a really quick, I guess, overview of how it works. So for those of you who are wanting to can but don't know how, I'm just going to give a quick rundown. But I wanted to show you the result of our canning last night. We got all these here. So we've got some like this one that has got more than others, and so, you know, these cans with the more meat will be for like tacos and burritos or whatever, and then this will be for more like soups. So I'm really happy with how this all turned out, and I can't wait to try it. So I love canning. Alright, so when you're canning, there's two ways to can. You have just your regular water bath that there's no pressure. You just bring it to a boil, put the lid on it, and then you have your pressure cooker. For a pressure cooker, when you start to use it, you fill it up about 2 inches with water, and then you start warming up your water until it's kind of simmering, not boiling, but simmering. Then you will place your jars inside. You don't want the water to be, you know, crazy hotter than your jars, and you don't want your jars to be super cold, or vice versa, because then you are going to end up with some broken jars. So don't overthink it. It's not that big a deal. Just make sure your water is warm. Make sure your jars are warm, hot, and stick them in. You will seal your lid, and then you will wait. And once this little guy right here pops up, the steam is being vented, and there is pressure being built up in your pressure cooker, and then you will actually even see steam coming out of here. At that point, your pressure cooker is ready for the weights, and all you got to do is stick them on. So for instance, this one here, let's see here. So you have, for ours, you got 5 pounds, 10 pounds, oops, 15 pounds. And whatever pounds that you need for whatever recipe you're using. Last night I did the meat, I used 15 pounds. So when you stick it on there, then you have to wait again just a little bit until the pressure gets built up strong enough for this thing to start moving. At that point, that means it has 15 pounds of pressure, and you just sit. And if it says to, like for the meat last night, it said to cook it for 90 minutes for the quart-sized jars. So this little thing here was rattling for 90 minutes, and once my 90-minute timer went off, I came out here, I turned the heat off, I just turned the fire completely off, and then you have to wait for the pressure to go down. You will know when the pressure is completely released when this little guy goes back down. So when this is down, that means there's absolutely no pressure in that in your pressure cooker. And then according to our recipe, you're supposed to still let it, you know, just I think it's for safety reasons mainly, but you let it set for about 5 minutes or so, and then you take your lid off, and then you still let it set for about 5 minutes, because you don't want to take really hot jars and just bring them out in the open, because you are at risk of I trip. You're at risk of breaking your jars. So it's just a gradual process. So you heat up, you put your jars in, you tighten your lid, you build the pressure until it steams, you stick on your pounds, you wait for it to jiggle, and then once your timer is ready, you turn off your heat. You wait for it to stop jiggling, your pressure is gone, you release, this goes back down. You wait just a few minutes, take your lid off, wait a few more minutes, and then remove your jars. And then that is when you are left with these pretty guys. So this is our rabbit meat that we just did, and I used the juices from the vegetable canning that I did last week. So super excited to eat that later, and I guess that's it in a nutshell. Alright, so this book right here is a really good book. They have a lot of recipes, and so like for instance, I made this zucchini relish. It literally gives you a recipe. You can always go off of your own recipe, but then it also shows you how to prep it. And then you cook it, then how you fill it, and then how you process it. And so it literally, like, so for here, you know, lower the rack into simmering water. Water must cover jars by 1 inch. Okay, so this is actually for this zucchini relish, this is just a water bath. This isn't pressure canning. I'm gonna give you an example of pressure. Where'd my green bean go? I know green bean is pressure. Okay, beans. Okay, and so it just tells you how to prep it. Raw pack or a hot pack. You can just bring the water to a boil, reduce heat to a simmer, or you can actually bring the water to a boil and then blanch your beans. I usually do it that way. But anyways, you do what you want. But anyways, it just has really good step-by-step on then how to process it for pint jars, quart jars. And then it says cool 12 hours. And so a lot of really good information. The only thing about these books that you can buy at the stores or online is they are approved by the government. And so there's a lot of stuff like for zucchini. I read a deal because I just couldn't find how to do just zucchini, and it turns out that it's not safe anymore. And so at one point it was, and so I went around and asking people who did canning, friends, neighbors, get to know your canning friends, and just ask them their opinion. The same goes for milk. It may not be, and rabbit meat. It was really hard to find a lot of stuff. And so while you know these books have a lot of good information and it tells you how to do things, both pressure canning and water bath step by step, there are going to be some things that you want to can that is technically not safe according to the government food people. So just ask around, ask your grandmothers, ask your neighbors, ask your friends, get their opinion, and then just go off of that. Don't be reckless and don't be irresponsible, but do your investigating, and don't miss out on some pretty good food just because the government says it's not safe. So that's just my little 2 cents for the day. Anyways, good information. Awesome especially for learning the steps. Okay, so one more really important thing about canning that I did not go over is the importance of cleaning your jars. I always try to start with a clean jar, a clean lid. Make sure you check the seal on your lid. I go ahead and I actually reuse some of my lids. When you check the seals, if there's a lot of rust, dirt, if the seal looks broken, you don't want to use those, but sometimes you use a lid and it's still perfectly fine. So just inspect your lids, and if they're not bad, if they still almost look brand new, they're still okay to use. And then also, but you go ahead and wash them, and then I go ahead and I also put them in boiling water just to kind of kill any bacteria, just in case. So one day I just got so crazy overwhelmed with all of my lids, and I literally separated all of them. And so all of these are used. They have been used at some point, but I wanted to show you the difference as to why I've got these separated. So this side looks decent. this side has a lot of nicks in it. And so and then you can see, you can't really tell on the camera, but you can see that this seal is pretty worn. Now here is one that has been used, but it almost looks brand new. And so, let's see here. Find another one here. Okay. There's no nicks in it. There's no, it's starting to rust. Okay, so that one, I don't know, looks decent, but you can't really tell on the camera. But there's a lot of like little imperfections on it. But I still use them for dried stuff, or for just quick storage. Let's see here. Okay. You can see that the seal is kind of worn, and there's scratches on it, and I don't really want it to rust while it's being stored. So these are all of the keepers. See, they're just clean. The seal almost looks brand new. So these are still safe. I know a lot of times when I open things, like the jars, it dents the metal, and I can't really find one right now. Whoops. Can't really find one right now where the metal is dented, but sometimes, like if you, oh, there you can see it. Yeah, can you see it right there? So just for safety reasons, I don't try to use those just in case it doesn't seal all the way, and then you're at risk of bacteria. So let's see, that one's good. Okay, so difference. Technically you're not supposed to reuse your lids, but oh my goodness, can you imagine how many lids would just be thrown away if you only used them one time? And so just don't overthink, be smart, use your common sense. If it's got rust on it, don't use it. Well, you probably shouldn't use it at all. But if it still looks new, the seal looks good, and it's clean, I've talked to a lot of people who actually do the same thing, and they reuse them. So like I said, get to know your community, talk to your grandparents who still can, talk to your friends and your neighbors, and don't be scared, because you're going to miss out on a lot of really good food if you're going to be sticklers about how to can your food. So don't be dumb, common sense, don't be dirty, keep it clean, and don't overthink. All right, bye.